Hello everyone and welcome to Book Time with Elvis with me, Mark. I hope you're all doing very well. Slightly different background today, just because I moved the chairs over as I had a lesson yesterday and just too lazy to move it back. I'm sure you won't mind. It might be nice to have a change of perspective for you. Today I've got a little video. I think it will be little. I don't think it'll be too long. And again, it's kind of a request from me to you. Taking liberties, I suppose, but there we go. Classics. Classics. Now, I've made a series of videos looking at classics I want to read and need to read, which will be released over the course of the next few weeks. So I hope you'll join me for that. But it made me think about what editions of classics to get in the future. You know, we're not too far away from Christmas. I'm going to have to start compiling my list to friends and relatives of what to get me. And I thought about what edition of classics are the best, or what do you recommend? Because I would like to really perhaps start collecting a particular edition. And I don't really know. I've got such an eclectic mix, which I guess is a good thing, because of course not all publishers publish the same classic works, do they? I mean, Penguin is probably has the widest range or the most choice, but I'm not sure how much I really like the feel, controversially perhaps, of the Penguin classics, especially when you get into bigger works, because you know you have well, I might as well show it. I mean, when you have this one isn't so big, it's quite manageable. Here, the Golden Age of British short stories, and I don't really like the newer design. I miss the orange, I have to say, so that's kind of put me off a little bit. But yeah, I think when you get into bigger books, I don't know. I don't like necessarily how the paper is with it and things like that. I mean, perhaps the content is among the best, but I'm not so sure now about the design. I wonder what you think about that. And I suppose the same would go for the modern classics as well. You know, with the mint green. I've got one that's only white. I don't know if that's a newer one or what. But I quite like these as well, actually. Yeah, so I don't know. I started collecting a bit the Clothbound classics, and they are nice. They're very nice to look at. But then you have this annoying sticker that if you take it off, it's going to damage the book, which I think is such a shame. You know, because they feel nice. You know, this one feels particularly nice, I have to say, and feels like it should be well made. But then a lot of people say, you know, the colouring comes off, and that's kind of put me off. I know they're releasing some mini Clothbound classics from tomorrow, which should be interesting. And they're supposed to be sturdier, and the cover isn't supposed to come off. So yeah, I really don't know. It's a tough one. I do very much like the Penguin Deluxe classics, and I've got quite a few of them. And let's take the biggest one of those I've got, which is massive, Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. And although it's a huge book, it feels to me much sturdier than perhaps it would if it was in this edition. Sorry, it feels much sturdier, I suppose, because you've got the French flaps and things in it as well. And I do like the deckled edges. I wasn't sure at first. It's sometimes a pain, of course, when you're reading and you go to turn the page and you can't because of the deckled edges, but I suppose you can flip up from the bottom or the top, so it's not too bad. I do really like these, but of course you are limited in terms of selection for the Deluxe classics. I mean, if there were as many of these as there are of these, then this could possibly be a good choice for me. Now, I'm not made of money, so it's quite difficult unless you find some of the cheaper second-hand versions, for example, of the Folio Society books, which I think are, of course, really lovely. I have a nice one here of My Early Times by Charles Dickens, and I do love the feel of them. But to kit out an entire library with them would be, I think, of course, quite expensive, wouldn't it? So I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I will pick them up here and then, and they're a good thing for me to get as gifts from people. But yeah, I think it's not something probably I can sustain in the long term, getting those. And next we have, I think, among the cheapest of the classic ranges, I might be wrong, please let me know, the Wordsworth classics. Now, I think this is an older style of the Wordsworth classics. The newer ones do look very nice, and people have told me the content is good. They have nice introductions or essays in them, but again, I'm not sure the quality would bother me. This one's not so bad because it's quite old. I'm not sure. I've seen it where, you know, the spines really do disintegrate on the newer ones, but I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know. I do like their newer hardback ones. Again, they are very cheap. I'm not sure how much they would stand up to prolonged use, and again, you're probably limited in what you can get. I mean, some of the bigger works, I'm not sure. You know, I really don't know. I have only one example of the next one, but I like it, and that's the Modern Library. Modern Library Classics. I have one here, Selected Stories of H.G. Wells, and I quite like the design of it. It looks smart. It would be nice if it was a, you know, I could have it in a hardback, I suppose, would be nice. But I don't know too much about these. If you do, let me know, please, in the comments. And I have, I should have brought that out. Of course, vintage classics are another one that are very popular with people. You know, I do like this. I like looking up and seeing the red spines of the vintage classics on my bookshelf. But again, I don't know how varied is their range when put up against Penguin or another contender, the Oxford World Classics again. You know, and you know, how much does all this come down to the type of book you want? I mean, is Penguin, you know, if I want to read ancient classics from Greece or Rome, is Penguin going to serve me best? The reason I'm asking all of you, of course, is because there's a lot of you, and you have, you know, varied reading experiences. You probably have much bigger libraries than I've got, and you'll be able to give me some feedback on that. I do have, and I quite like them, but I know the selection is small, and that's the Word Cloud Classics, with this kind of flexi binding, so it's not really paperback. This one's kind of like a faux, I don't know, suede or something. Unfortunately, I've got some dust on it there. But they are very nice, and they feel very, you know, the paper and stuff and the printing is really nice on them. They feel really nice and they're easy to read. I read Tarzan and Treasure Island with these recently, and I think they're very nice. But again, the selection is quite small. And the same company also put out these big leather hardbacks, which are quite nice as well, actually. I haven't read it, so I don't know if it is how well it's going to stand up. But it's not, you know, they're not super expensive, and they look nice, and I appreciate that. I see, for example, Michael K. Vaughan usually has a few of this type, and the Barnes and Noble editions. I don't have any of those, but they do look very nice, and you know, the aesthetic is important to some degree, I think. You know, it's nice to have something beautiful to look at. I suppose you could have something that looks good and then just read it on ebook, but it's the same with the Clothbound classics. They just look lovely, really lovely, but it is, as I say, just frustrating, the sticker and the the thing can come off, the print design. There are other, of course, many other publishers. I haven't mentioned the Library of America. I have a vintage hardback actually of Complete Work of Sherlock Holmes, which seems nice. There's Library of America, isn't there? There's the British Library publications. There are Macmillan Collectors Library. I haven't got any of those. And I think the New York Review of Books puts out books as well. Did I say that already? No, I don't know. But the newest one to me is the Everyman library. I have here a copy of the essays by George Orwell, his complete essays there, and I have to say I'm absolutely in love with them. It is my favourite so far. You have a lovely dust jacket, very sturdy, holdable book, and then it's just stunning, underneath. I think that looks lovely. This would be my choice, I think, if I could collect something, because they're relatively... This wasn't super cheap, but I looked at some of the others. They seem relatively inexpensive for what they are. I mean, they seem, probably sturdy and better quality than these, and cheaper by and by. But again, I don't really know what the rest of you think. If you have a library of these, what would you recommend? I mean, does it really depend on, as I say, the type of book I want to read? Am I better off for ancient classics going to Penguin? Am I better off going to Everyman for modern classics? Am I better off going to Oxford World Classics for non-fiction classical works? Let me know your opinions. Let me know what you suggest I do when it comes to kind of starting to think about developing my library. And the reason I'm thinking about this, I've got a long way to go. I've mentioned several times I'm in the process of building a house, but it hasn't started yet. But one day it will start, and one day, God willing, it will be finished. And then I know that I want to, kit it out with books. And so I need to think about and start thinking about what are the best editions for me, and I want advice. And so I turn to you, my wonderful viewers, and all advice and comments are much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Probably this video was longer than I expected, but do take care of yourselves, and see you next time. Bye bye.